how does this affect the male? If this affects a female so bad mentally, which we learned in email too, how would does this affect the male the same way? Or how do you know what I'm saying?
Well, the newborn experiences pain and trauma the same way anyone else was, because of course they're human. So we have to take into consideration that they're awake and anesthetics are not used on a newborn, other than maybe sucrose, sugar, sucker. So you would agree with me when we say that, of course, this probably has some sort of traumatic effect on a newborn, and surely physically their entire life, if not just mentally.
People listening to this might not be as, have that type of answer, but that was a really, really good answer. And what I want to do is I want to create a structural system so that you have all the answers. So other things are, some things that I might add to that is the way you want to say it, for instance, is, well, we can give anesthesia, we can give local anesthesia to babies, but infants are too young. We could actually harm them by putting them under general anesthesia. So we can only give them local anesthesia. And the problem with local anesthesia is that the most sensitive part, the underside, is the pudendal nerve, and it's not even blocked by the dorsal nerve block. So the dorsal nerve block doesn't even affect that. They also give them sugar water. That's very ineffective. Sugar water, of course, could you imagine having a surgery done with sugar water as a anesthesia? It doesn't make any sense.
Right.
So there's a lot of things you can go into off of that, and that we're once we get to that, when we get to there, that's where the education is going to come into play, and making sure you have those steps where you could say, okay, I've got A, B, C, and D that I can then respond to that psychological question, or I have A, B, C, and D. I can respond to that anatomical question or historical question or stuff like that. Because what my goal for you guys, all intactivists, is to be able to spit out these questions. And even for myself, like, I know that I am not where I want to be. And in fact, I'm going to start writing out this week is a series of little just details. For instance, knowing just frenulum, the ridged band, Meissner corpuscles, tactile corpuscles. Meissner corpuscles are tactile corpuscles. Being able to describe where they're located and those types of things, or knowing that they, like, for instance, the balinal prepubital lamina is the tissue that adheres the foreskin to the glands. Knowing that the dorsal nerve block is not effective at blocking the pudendal nerve, which innervates the underside, which is where the frenulum and the Meissner corpuscles are found. So that even the dorsal nerve block doesn't block the pain fully. And even the giving the dorsal nerve block itself is extremely painful. So the shot itself is very, very painful. So just having those things to say are part of the educational program. So anyways, I think that was very, very good. Do you guys have any additional things you want to add to this, what we've covered so far? This is very valuable because it gives us an opportunity to see the things that can arise, right? I was actually kind of surprised with some of my answers to my own questions, right? So it kind of gives you that. So that's why I think the value is in this. So anyways, any questions?
I just had a really quick, two things really quick, just all the great information about the shot for the anesthesia that's local or oftentimes isn't even given. There's also a lot of studies neurobiologically about epigenetic effects and how trauma in all sorts of mammals tests with humans and everything, where if an infant, which actually feels higher pain thresholds than adults, their neurons and synaptic nerves are still trying to figure out which direction to take the baby's life in, depending on the environment. And if they experience pain that they don't understand at 1 hour into their life outside of the womb, then their brain forever rewires, to be more anxious, more fearful, and so forth. And it really sets up brain waves for a certain way for the rest of their lives, and it increases addiction. It increases. They've done studies. I can send you the 4 papers I'm talking about.
No, I'd love to get those. I do have a huge body of research on this. I started studying this with what's called adverse childhood experiences. Harvard. At Harvard. Yeah, this is, in my opinion, guys, what you're talking about is the most harmful effect of this Okay, yeah, okay, I don't have an, on my orgasm scale, my orgasm's a 3 instead of a 10 for life. Okay, that's pretty alarming to think about. Okay, but that's
Right.
true. It's a 3 out of a
But
10.
you can just really quickly say stuff like they've stressed mothers that are pregnant in all sorts of animals, lab rats and humans and horses and so forth. And, for 3 or 4 more generations, their offspring will be way more likely to be addicted to cocaine or nicotine or whatever. So, and it doesn't really go away until about 3 or 4 generations. So if we're stressing a child to that level where they're experiencing shock, it's this cycle is keeps continuing, and that's why that's occasionally important to bring up. If you talk to somebody on the phone that seems more in tune to epigenetic stuff or like neurology or sociology, then that's a good time to bring up that hot topic.
Yeah.
And the other thing I wanted to say was there's the famous Dutch hunger winter strike during World War II when Hitler shipped everything away from the Netherlands, and all the Dutch women who are in their second trimester, that's when the brain is learning what type of environment is out there. And
Yeah.
because they were starving, the kids came out and they stored every bit of sugar and glucose and whatever, and they all had higher hypertension, heart attacks, and they were morbidly obese and died a lot sooner because their body stored every bit of sugar and wouldn't let it go because it thought the environment would be forever, starvation. So that shows environment has a huge effect on which genes turn on and turn off. And that's why we don't want to harm children, especially when they have no idea what language or what environment is, and their entire life structure then is based on those first few hours of harm. So
Right, the first thing that ever happened to them. Yeah.
Yeah, this is probably the worst aspect of this. There's one statement, I don't know who said this, but it says that the worst scar of circumcision is on the mind, not on the body. And I totally agree with that. I think a lot of my my anger issues in life are directly related to this because I wasn't abused, like I didn't. I know some people could consider certain things that happen abusive to me, my family wasn't perfect, but like I didn't have like an abusive father who just hauled off and treated me like I was a man at the bar and beat me up. You know what I mean? Like I didn't have that. So where did this come from?
Same here. I have very loving parents, and I was never abused. We're financially okay, but I definitely have resentment and stuff. So yeah, for sure. That's a good point.
Yeah, this is the worst thing. So having this knowledge, what was your name? Was that Tasha? How do I say it?
Yeah, it's Natalie, Tasha, yeah.
Tasha, thank you so much for contributing that. We need you on our Tele-Intactivism phone calls because that type of knowledge is very valuable. And so you would do really well on our helping us with Tele-Intactivism. And this is for everybody that's out there. You don't have to be, and I'm kind of closing up this meeting today, but you don't have to be involved in NLI. You don't have to believe in do any. This is a very loose organization that you can contribute. You don't have to be part of it. If you want to help save babies, I'll give you phone numbers. I'll send you a list of phone numbers. You can start making phone calls. Okay. I'll send you emails. You can start sending emails.
If you have like California, Los Angeles contacts, I'd be happy to make tons of. Hey,
we have tons of that. We have so many of that. The campaigns that are going to be running out, right now we don't have enough people to make the phone calls, and even if we had 20 people, we wouldn't have enough people to make the phone calls. We won't even be able to make the phone calls. That's good because all these emails are going to be going to these people, but the more people we get involved, the more people we get doing phone calls, the more influence we're going to have. That email is it's there, it's sitting in cyberspace, and whether or not an email they read it or not is going to be up to them, and how influential that email is going to be limited to a certain extent. But if we can get those phone calls, and more people we can get involved in doing these phone calls, and look how easy this is. We're going to do I call it turnkey. Okay, like in business, a turnkey business is a business that's already established, it's up and running, the employees are working. You walk in there, you buy the business, and you own the business, and it's fun, it's working, it's turnkey. all you have to do is turn the key and it's working, right? I wanted to create a turnkey system for Intactivists so that you don't have any excuses. We're going to write the emails for you. We'll send them for you. All you have to do is make the phone calls if that's all the time you have. And when making these phone calls, you're going to have a high value target that's already had a campaign run to them. Okay, so they're already going to be softened up to a certain extent. The phone calls are very easy. You're going to have a script for the phone calls. Everything's done for you.
The string to mark the proper location.
Circumcision denies a male's right to genital integrity and to a fully functioning penis.
Near the string that is placed to mark the proper location.
Then we clap it.